Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. The latest data from the Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency have shown that the federal government of Nigeria is expected to spend over 750 billion naira on petrol subsidy in 2020. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, which is the sole importer of petrol in the country, reported that Nigeria consumes between 55 million and 60 million liters of petrol every day. Operators stated that the fluctuation in the expected open market price of petrol was due to the instability in the international price of crude oil market. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and its allies have been working hard to ensure that crude oil price does not slip below the $60 per barrel figure target, which it has maintained for several months. Joining us now from our Rise Abuja studio to discuss how we can work towards creating an alternative revenue beyond oil and some of the national issues is Senator Ita Enang, Senior Special Assistant to President Muhammadu Buhari on Niger Delta Affairs. Senator Enang, good morning and welcome to the Morning Show.
Good morning, Senator.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, Senator, how do we get out of this, what has been described elsewhere as a curse of oil? Nigeria remains so dependent, and then now for a subsidy, which has been a problem, a very controversial issue in Nigeria. It seems to still be there, despite assurances by the NNPC that the 4 refineries will be rehabilitated and put on stream so that Nigeria can be less dependent on importation of finished products. But it looks like we're trapped, we're confronted with a self-fulfilling prophecy, and that perhaps there's no commitment, willingness on the part of the appropriate authorities to redress the challenges in the oil and gas sector. What do you think? Or, is it a matter of fate or failure?
I think, let me thank you very much for inviting me to discuss this. And let me say that it is a very challenging situation. And no country, without looking at internal solution, can come out of any problem it is. If it's the solution to your problem depends only on external sources, that country can never make progress. Now, when Nigeria made progress when it was refining its products, but when it became necessary that we had to be importing more than we refine, it became more comfortable. What we've done, what my office has done within a short time that we've done, is to look at this situation. Part of my job is to look at oil alternative economy and then adding value to the oil value chain. Excuse me. What I've done is that I have engaged with what is normally called the illegal refineries or illegal refiners, people and persons who are alleged to be breaking pipelines or by some means taking crude oil and refining them locally. I've engaged them in a meeting and they have agreed to come out. And in that meeting, I engaged 1 or 2 security agents. I want to take it as if I was compromising Nigerian security or the security of our economy. So I engaged them in a meeting, and they said, look, they are able and capable of supplying the refined product of Nigeria to the extent that Nigeria would need. And that for kerosene and diesel, they are almost the exclusive suppliers of what is being used today, which are alleged to be imported. Now, I engaged them further. I engaged them for 3 different days in a stretch. A lot of research, a lot of groups of them. I brought them to Abuja and I engaged some other ones in the locations. And they confessed to me that they are willing to buy the crude that Nigeria is exporting at the international market price. and that the facilities they have to refine kerosene and diesel is what is refining what is being used now, and that they are refining only a small quantity of petrol, the PMS, because the time it takes for petrol to refine is high, and the engine and the heating process it takes to get and refine petrol is very high. And so only a few number of them do it. Now, I engage them further, and they confess to me that what they produce is when they refine, they now load it in small batches and then take it to a waiting ship in the high sea, and then load in the waiting ship on the high sea, just off the coast of Nigeria or within the coast of Nigeria, within our territorial waters. Then when it is full, they will now bring this illegally refined diesel, kerosene, and other products and berth on the shores of Nigeria, and it will be cleared and paid for as if it is coming from abroad, and subsidy will be paid on it. And I engage them further, and my research also shows that so long as we keep paying subsidy to persons who allege that they are importing refined petroleum products, we will never have the Nigerian refineries working, because there is a cartel that is benefiting.
Go on, Senator.
There is a cartel. Yes, please.
Go on, Senator.
I'm with you.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, please.
We're listening. Please
Okay,
continue.
Thank you very much. That it does appear that there is a cartel that is arresting and benefiting from the subsidy. Therefore, the subsidy thing is not a national economic problem. It is a commercial problem for those who are illegally benefiting from it. Therefore, what I'm suggesting, and I will be working with the practitioners, working to convince the system to agree. But there is going to be, and there is already, and there has always been, very stringent opposition by the formal refining system. And their opposition first is that it destroys environment, that the illegal refineries and refiners destroy the environment. And I engaged the refiners in this question. And they say, look, they have the capacity of getting the entire product from crude oil from petrol, diesel, kerosene, and other petrochemical and other products, including the one they use for tar, to be produced to the end without anyone destroying the environment. That the one that is used for to produce tar, bitumen, is the one they throw away, because the process of heating, they are not allowed to stay and to sit in situ and finish all the process. That sometimes they keep it, and then the companies that produce bitumen now come to buy this. The construction companies that produce bitumen, excuse me please, that produce bitumen now come to buy this raw product, which destroys the environment, and then go to produce bitumen instead of importing. And when they even produce, the big companies will say they are importing bitumen, whereas they are buying this debris from the illegal refiners who have just thrown it away to go and use it to produce the bitumen and use it in their construction companies. Now, there is this other element. The practitioners, the local refiners, which I prefer to call them our modular refiners, are saying that the cost of getting the crude illegally is higher than if they were buying it informally, that they were buying it formally from the NNPC or from the government, that what they go through in the hand of certain agencies, I'll be a lot careful here. That what they spend in the entire chain, settling different agencies along the way to get the crude and then put it in their refinery, refine out before they load on different batches and then go and load and then go and sell. And of course, even the ones that are used here, which they put directly into the market, into the different tankers that are waiting in different places and taking it from them, that the cost is higher than if they were buying it at the $60 per barrel formerly from the NNPC or the federal government. That instead of keeping to sustain the illegal process, the process of settling these other institutions along the way, which monies goes into the pocket of these individuals and not the government. The government is paying, perhaps in dollars, for those who are protecting the pipelines. The government is paying to the different security agencies along the way. The government is paying, maintaining different institutions along to protect the pipeline, the oil processes, and so on. Is paying even to the staff of the institutions. Now, what they're saying that instead, that in the course of settling all these people to take the crude, the cost is higher than if they were to buy it. And again, I want to urge Nigeria that let us go and find out in all these countries that are refining and purporting to send to us, that they are refining in their small local refineries and in small quantities, and selling it, buying it in small quantities, and loading in the big ship. When the ship is full, they now send it here to Nigeria, and then we now say we're importing. Now, if you investigate most of the construction companies, if you investigate the cost that they are selling, that they are giving LPO or purchase order to local suppliers of diesel, for instance, diesel is selling, I think it's officially $140 or $145, naira per liter. But in the real market, it is $250, $235 naira per liter.
Senator, we do have to go on a very quick commercial break, but when we're back, we'll continue with this very important conversation. Do stay with us. Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Senator Ita Enang, Senior Special Assistant to President Muhammadu Buhari on Niger Delta Affairs, is still with us in our Abuja studio. Thank you for staying with us, Senator. Before the break, you'd given us a great insight into the problem of illegal refining that we're seeing, and I'm sure that came as a shock to many people to know that this is actually what is going on right now, and the fact that we're subsidizing oil that is basically refined illegally on our own shores. But Senator, I would like to take you back to the crux of the matter here when we're looking into the 2020 budget for fuel subsidy and what everyone is making a fuss about right now, if I can say that. Now, where there's a discrepancy from what I can see is that it's reported by the Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency that the 2020 budget for fuel subsidy, is going to be just over 750 billion naira. But at the same time, media reports coming out have also shown that the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, had said that it would be 450 billion naira at a public hearing. So there's a 300.81 billion naira gap here. So what exactly is the figure that we're seeing for fuel subsidy in 2020?
Well, first, please let me conclude the other aspect that I was going on,
yes.
And then I will answer this question if you don't mind. Thank you.
Of course.
Now, let me say that if you go to the construction companies and the big consumers of diesel, you will find out that the cost, the purchase, the LPO they are giving to suppliers of diesel to them is from 170, 180, or 185 naira per liter that they are giving to those who supply diesel to them. But diesel in the open market is selling for 235 to 250. It is the illegally produced diesel by the local refiners that they are buying. They buy it, put it in their big tank. They have a means of getting the sedimentation. They have the chemicals. The team that produces this diesel now has all the chemicals that NNPC uses in their refining. And so they buy it from them at 170, whereas the open market is 230, 250. Therefore, if this diesel were not good enough for them to use, then they would not be buying. Yet, in what they are quoting to the government, at what they are buying diesel, in their bidding for this project, they are quoting 400, 450. I will rest this matter there and go back to your question. But I think, please, I'll return to it. Now, the question of 2020 budget. The budget has just been passed by the National Assembly. It has just been received by the presidency. It is being reviewed by Mr. President. It is at that time that when the president assents to it, that we will know whether it is the figure of 450 that is quoted or the suspected 700. But I read in one of the national papers on Wednesday last week that we are likely to have about 700 or 750 billion or so in 2019 or 2021 of subsidy. But whatever the amount, it is not how humongous is the amount. It is this subsidy real? Or are people just ripping the government? Are people punishing the Nigerian citizens? Are people just cashing in on complacency of certain institutions within the refining and governmental process to reap the government and to reap the citizens? That is what we have to. And I want all Nigerians to please say that it is time for us to generally rise up and don't call these people illegal refineries. These people have been doing refining for the past 20 years. You call them illegal, and then they are still refining and selling to you. They are breaking your pipelines. They are being aided by the same people you've given a job to protect the pipelines. They are being, and government is losing, and we are just all watching and just opening our hands as if we are helpless. No. The people have come out voluntarily and said, look, they want to help the economy of this country. They have made money. They are good. They have persons whom they have trained. Look, Nigerian government has set up the University of Petroleum in Efurum. It was Petroleum Training Institute, Efurum. It has different universities that are training people in petroleum technology. There was the amnesty program where we sent Nigerians from 2009 till today to go and learn petroleum technology and other associated processes relating to petroleum. The people have come back with better refined ideas, better refined processes. And look, most of the instruments and the refining instruments these people are using, they are imported. I'm sorry, every person that is, it is time to tell the truth and prepare to take any risk because we can't watch this country go on like this.
Well, Senator Enang.
I'm prepared to take any risk on this matter.
Senator Enang.
Yes, sir.
I think you need to help us with some clarification here. I've tried to listen to you, and if I've misunderstood you, I think you can shed more light on what exactly you are trying to say. You have pointed out that, yes, there are illegal refiners, although you've tried to legitimize them, and that you've met with them. And what I hear you saying is that these persons that we dismiss as pipeline vandals or the oil theft mafia, which has been a major source of concern for not just the NNPC, but also Nigerians generally, because what we're dealing with here is economic sabotage. And you are saying that, look, these people have some capacity that we need to look into, and that we need to engage them more constructively. But you will agree with me that the oil and gas sector is also a rules-based, heavily regulated operation, not just in Nigeria, but internationally. Now, if you know these people and you have been meeting with them, one will have expected that what you will do ordinarily will be to share that information with the security agencies, because there are persons who insist that economic sabotage It's not something on which you can put lipstick and give it a fine face. And if you have not considered it necessary to share the information with the security agencies, are you asking for a relationship between these so-called refiners who take our oil, and take to the ICs and shortchange Nigeria? Are you asking for a relationship between them and the NNPC? That's one leg of the question. The second leg of it is that NNPC has what they call a direct sale, direct purchase agreement framework, which they say has been adding value to the supply of petroleum final products value chain in Nigeria. And it's because of that that we've not been having fuel scarcity under the Buhari administration. Are you saying that that is not working and that we need to do something different?
Yeah. Thank you very much for the question of putting lipstick and making fine face, and the question of sharing this information with the security agencies. I had answered at the beginning of this program, and my answer is that having considered and engaged these persons and discovered that it is, yes, I know it is an illegal thing, but then I had to share it with the security agencies. And in holding the first set of meetings, I have always shared and involved the security agencies, because what the persons are asked for is first, guarantee our protection. And I did that. And it is now a discourse that we're going on to shape opinion so that we can arrive at a solution.
So the Nigerian government is negotiating.
Direct purchase.
You are saying that the Nigerian government is negotiating with oil thieves. Is that what is coming across?
No, you are going too far, and definitely that is not what I'm saying. My job is, when you find as an agency of government that something is wrong, you have to find solutions to it. You remember, it was a situation like this that Nigeria faced, and we got into the amnesty problem, and we got into the amnesty question. And we now set up amnesty and say, lay down your arms, have amnesty, come out of the creeks. The phase I am now is asking for, not for quote unquote, amnesty for these persons for the purpose of integrating them into the process. They've agreed to lay down every situation, every action, and say, look, we have capacity. Engage our capacity. They just sent a representation. Their team is in the creeks, and they have been there for years. The security agencies have been there for years. NNPC has been there for years. The international, all the laws have been there for years. But it is not solving a problem. And you don't apply the same solution to an old-time problem, and which had defied solution, and you think it will work. It will not work. Now, we have to think out of the box now, and then bring out...
Senator Enang, sorry to interrupt you at this point. Sorry to interrupt you. We need to take a short commercial break. When we return, we'd like you to go on with this clarification. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the morning show here on the Arise News channel. And still with us in our Abuja studio is Senator Ita Enang, Senior Special Assistant to President Muhammadu Buhari on Niger Delta Affairs. Senator Enang, thank you for staying with us. And if you may just continue with what is coming across to me, like you making a case of amnesty for economic saboteurs and their collaborators within the system.
Well, I want to be very serious about this, and I want to please plead that we don't take this matter as if, well, you're a journalist, you'll be casting very hard headlines. But I want to say that what I'm discussing here is trying to build opinion on how to come out of a problem that we have all seen, known. People have made so much money, it has become like a security problem, and then we are still looking the other way. There is no way that Nigeria is going to come out of the question of subsidy and free the funds for road construction, free the funds for industry and so on, without without doing away with subsidy. And if we have to do away with subsidy, we'll have to integrate the local refiners whose product we are using. Like I said at the beginning, our persons, the refiners, the local refiners will be refining in the local refineries, illegal you call them, and then sending it to the, putting it in small batches, ship, in their small, loading it and taking it off to the big ship, which is waiting just off the coast of Nigeria. And when it is full with their illegal product, the person that had the license or had the ship, who has the contract to bring it in, will now bring it in and will land in Nigeria, and it will take it, it will be received, and it will be paid the cost and given subsidy. Those who are involved in government and those who are will not allow any other things to work. They will not even allow the refinery to work. We have to think out of the box. Now, the people who are doing this are Nigerians, and you have to engage them. I'm trying to an advocacy for one, amnesty for the local refining process, not for the local refiners, because for the local amnesty for the refining process, so that we integrate them into the refining process and make them part of the economy. If there is any law that is at any point, let's take it to the National Assembly, brief the National Assembly on it, and then we allow this. Every person in the creek, most people in the South, people in the North are using this oil, this diesel, and all the other from the illegal refineries. Most of the tankers that are loading at different points are not loading NNPC product. They are not loading the locally imported ones. They are loading the illegally refined product. Please, we just have to be honest about it. It is, like I said, it's a big risk I'm taking, but I have to share what I've seen and say, look, we have to give these people, bring these people into the process. Now, excuse me, if we integrate them, one, we will be able to have the entire value chain of the crude oil used. First, we'll be able to have the quality, the one that is for bitumen, sent out for bitumen. People are there to buy. The one that are for other petrochemical products, which are used for other rubber things like slippers and other things, things will be used. Otherwise, if you still call them illegal, they'll just be taking whatever is they have been able to refine and sell, and then throw away the rest, and the environment will be damaged. If you engage them, assign technical experts to them, which they don't need, but for the purpose of certifying what they have produced, agree that you certify it and then take it into the local distribution system. They have all the chemicals. The same chemicals they buy in Onitsha, the same chemical that NNPC is using, is the same thing that they are using. And the refinery they are using is the ones that they bought, that the Koreans and others, who at the early stage of the struggle were supplying arms to them. They had enough arms. I'm sorry about this. They no more take anything illegal. They now brought some of these illegal things. Some of these things are locally fabricated. They are serving our process.
Senator Enang, sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you. I know that your brief covers Niger Delta Affairs. But will you make the same case for illegal miners, say in Zamfara? Exactly. And insist that, look, the Nigerian government, yes, illegal miners have been causing problems in parts of the north, particularly in Zamfara state. But so that we can solve the problem, let us engage them and allow them to continue with their illegal mining and bring them closer so that we can make use of their capacity.
Thank you very much for expanding this question. I want to say that we have to engage even the artisanal refiners and the artisanal miners. Artisanal miners of solid mineral. We are just like ostrich. We're ostriching. Al-Makura is the immediate past governor of Nasarawa State. Officially and formally, as a government, he made it a point that he was engaging and causing the mining of of the solid minerals there for the purpose of the state. Whereas the law says every natural resource of a mineral belongs to the federal government. Yes. The same thing is happening in Zamfara. If you go in Zamfara, gold, KB, and all those things, engage every person that is. It's not illegal mining that it's not mining that I'm talking about in this case. It is the refining that I'm talking about. It is not, there is one between exploration. I'm not talking about exploration. I'm talking about refining in case of petroleum. But in case of the solid minerals, you'll have to engage first in the mining. Let it be the federal government that is mining. When they mine as a raw material, let it be sold, and let those who refine do the refining. A lot of people in this country some watches you find in some sophisticated places in this country are made from gold that is brought in Nigeria. I had opportunity of delivering a lecture at a seminar to the commissioners and chairman and commissioners of the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission in Lagos, at Lekki in Lagos Wednesday last week. And I raised this question with them of the illegal mining of solid minerals, and that is not even taken as a part of anything. It's not taken as any offense. I had confronted from the House of Representatives and the Senate confronted Nasarawa state government over their action, and the federal government seemed to have done nothing because they were refining and using it as part of the state revenue and formally giving allocation of land for people to refine, whereas the allocation of land for for mining solid mineral rests with the federal government through the federal ministry, through the solid minerals ministry. Therefore, I'm advocating this for even the amnesty for the local artisanal miners. Engage them. After all, it is stated that part of the problem we have in the insurgency in the northwest flank of Zamfara and so on is as a result of gold and those who are getting it and causing problem in that area to destabilize and get the population off and then mine.
Senator,
so
if I may come in here.
Every positive means of getting revenue into the economy.
We're speaking about the way forward with regards to no longer criminalizing people that are going through these certain activities that, of course, have more than one side to them. But I want to ask you something then. If what you're saying right here is really and truly everything to the situation, what then can one think of the over 1.1 trillion naira that was spent on fuel subsidy last year? Is it therefore safe to say that a lot of that money was just lost and wasted, and that is fair enough to say? And then what is your thoughts as well on a lot of people like the CEO of the Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Clement Isong, and also companies like Afrinvest that are calling for the full deregulation of the oil sector or the downstream side of the oil sector? What is your take on this?
Please say it again about Clement Isong. Let me get it right.
Calling for the full deregulation of the downstream sector to clean up the oil industry and make it more efficient. Companies like Afrinvest as well have also made similar calls for that deregulation. But before that, I asked you about the over 1.1 trillion naira that was reportedly spent on fuel subsidy last year. If what you're saying is the case, Senator, then is it fair enough for us to say that that was money that was just wasted?
There was a time that it was necessary because there was crisis of the insurgency then, which we had to resolve by way of amnesty, getting the boys off the ground, laying down arms, and then allowing production, allowing enough supply for refining. It was necessary at the beginning. But in the last 5, 6 years or 7, it is no more necessary because the local refining capacity, or what we prefer to call illegal refinery, which I call in my language, local refinery or modular refinery. If we integrate them, we will solve this problem of subsidy. this subsidy, you have Petroleum Product Pricing and Regulatory Agency. If you ask them, they will not agree because they are involved in their job. Part of their job is to look at the international market and all the things that are imported, and so whether or not they will be involved. If you ask certain persons practicing in the refineries, they will not agree, but they will not also allow the refineries to work. So it is for us, for Nigerians, to stand up and say, look, we can rescue ourselves. All this information I'm having is given, I know I get it from the formal system and from the informal system. And so we have to find a solution to it by saying, look, enough of it. We have to reduce subsidy, what we budget for subsidy. Sometimes we have to say, look, let us try these persons. You know, all countries go through this. And of course, if you ask the international community, will not allow the Nigerian refining system to work because they are benefiting from it. There are the people who own the refineries out there. There are the people who get the big contract. And of course, NNPC is now the sole importer of petroleum, of some certain kind of petroleum. And so they make this money. I'm sorry, today is the hydrocarbons conference. I'll be there. I hope it will be an issue. And I'm praying that Nigeria.
Senator Enang, we have less than a minute to go. But I'd like to ask you, you made a lot of revelations here about the opaqueness of NNPC, about oil theft, pipeline vandalism, and your proposal. But as a special assistant to President Buhari, have you made any effort to bring all of this to his attention as he considers the 2020 budget? Quickly, we just have a few seconds.
I'm sorry, please, that is a question that I will plead my privilege. That's a question of, I will plead my privilege. And what I'm doing now is molding opinion. And the direct answer to that question, I plead my privilege. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you
but
very
we hope
much,
that
Senator.
you will bring the president's attention to it because, I mean, Nigerians are just as helpless as you also sound.
Absolutely.
And it's for government to make positive use of this information. Thank you very much, Senator Enang.
Enjoy the rest of your day.